Welcome back to Restaurant to Another World. Anime Review episode number 8. This is reviewing episodes 15 and 16. Now, here's the thing about the stuff they adapt for this one. Now, in the case of the 15th episode, the first one is adapted from chapter 18 of book 1, and also the second story is from side story 5 from book 5. I have not read it, but this gave me the possibility to read it. The following episode 16, adapts from chapter 68 of book 4 and chapter 86 of volume 5. Yeah, this is. I should point something out though about this. Why the heck is the chapter numbering higher every book? Well, there's a reason for that, and that reason is because every book continues where the numbering left off for the chapters. That's the reason why we get something like this. Now, unlike the first two episodes, where the second story takes place in the actual fantasy world, these two don't really do that. No, not really. The first one is called Hamburger. Yep, Hamburger. That's the name of the episode. Yep, that's the name of the story. It's Hamburger and Beef Tended Curry. Now, this one is from basically the 18th chapter of book number 1. I believe so. Let me, yeah. Yeah, it is. So this one, basically, it is 3 boys from the countryside, one of whom I believe his name is Jack. Yeah, he's the leader of the 3 boys. Where he basically earns money from his job, helping out a farmer, just so he can go with his friends to Western cuisine. And they go there and they order the hamburger meal. The hamburger meal is simply put... Now, when I saw him, like, wait, this hamburger does not look like the hamburger that's served at McDonald's. At least not hamburgers I've seen. This one's got lettuce, mayo, mustard. Does not have tomatoes, surprisingly, but the way its appearance looks, it kind of reminds me of the quarter pound deluxe McDonald's serves. It's the same size, except there's no tomato there, but pretty much it's the same sandwich, except there's no cheese and there's no tomato. But it's simply with the quarter pound deluxe. And they also have some fries with it. Now, the amount of fries they have there, I should explain something about that. Where I have been to many restaurants where I've actually ordered fries, and that's the amount that they serve. They serve on a plate like that. McDonald's would say we put it in a box. Same thing with a lot of fast food places. Restaurants don't do that. They put them on the actual plate itself, and they also have a little glass thing that's usually filled with whatever sauce. This one is filled with ketchup. Which, yes, a lot. Now, this is mostly an American meal. Yes. Yeah, this is something, though. It takes until the 15th episode of the series to feature a food that's actually an American cuisine. Yes, seriously. Well, you can kind of say fried shrimp is, but the shape it looks like it's in a different country. But yeah, fried shrimp is also American cuisine, but this is actually a true American cuisine. And the cola is served like in small glasses. Oh, excuse me. Also, because it's the sub, they refer to Anita as Nita-chan, which makes Jack the only person to call her Anita-chan because the master calls her Anita-san. Probably because she's not much younger than the master. So, they have the hamburger, and they just really enjoy it. They also see the lizard man, who pops up occasionally in the series. After some talking with him a while, he does find out where he's from. He's from a village in the forest. He does kind of explain it, which is kind of true from his actual backstory episode. I thought this story is actually pretty good. I mean, aside from the hamburger stuff, which I've seen that before because I served, because I work at McDonald's. So, it's a pretty good story, and it's mostly a little bit of advancement, basically, on one character. But it's nice to see an American meal on the show. Kudos. The second one is, simply put, about beef stew. Of course, after they have the hamburger, they order another one. Because, of course, they do. Because a lot of people order seconds. So, afterwards, the curry man comes back, Alphonse. And basically, he's once again asked to do some taste testing. Now, he does mention, oh yeah, it's been a while. Well, that happened episode, not 11. I think that happened in episode 7, if I'm not mistaken. This is only episode 15. It's only been 8 episodes. But here's kind of the thing. In the books, this was actually a period about a couple. This is actually. You see, she first showed up in chapter 41. Let's see. I remember some was a book. I think it was book 3, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was chapter 3. It was book 3, book number, well, chapter number 41. So you can kind of say the opening chapter of book number of book 3. And here they are, basically 2 chapters later. Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much like 2 chapters later. Mm-hmm. Yep. Now, yes, I have read chapter 41. Now, I should point this out though about the book and how they call Kiro in the book. Now, in the book, she's not technically called Kiro per se. She's referred to by the Red Queen as Black because she's a black dragon. And here we have them. We have basically Alphonse come back and be a taste tester again for a new curry. This time, 3 new curries. We have green curry. There's also beef curry. Well, they've heard of beef tendon curry. And the other one, I believe it was. I'm trying to think, what was the other one? Because it was one they introduced here. Because I remember the beef one was actually the 3rd one, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. Let me look it up on here because I think I'm trying to remember what the other one was. I remember what. So they try it and they all really like it, and Alphonse said just order his regular curry anyways, and of course Kira has her chicken curry, and of course, well, in the case of Anita, she has the beef one because it was really good. She really enjoyed it. And by the time Alphonse arrived, it was basically time for the master to serve his employees their dinner, which that's actually quite nice of him to do. He cooks them breakfast and he cooks them dinner. I don't think he cooks them lunch. It's not mentioned if he does that or not. I have no idea. Excuse me. So they try it, they like it, and of course the master's asked, like, is there other curries? There's a lot of curries, which, yeah, that's actually quite true. Curry is probably a popular dish across the world. Yep, this actually was a pretty good one. Nice to see Alphonse again. And this actually was the first episode down from book 5. Now, I have not read book 5 yet. We'll read it definitely in the future. Don't worry about that. Mm-hmm. Yes. Now, in the case of the very next episode, this one I was really looking forward to this one. So I have not read the story yet, but I was really looking forward to this one because the first one, episode 16, is Children's Lunches. In the book, the title is, well, I'll look up online, it's Kids' Meals, per se. And the other one is Cream Croquet. Now, Children's Lunch, aka the children's meal, that, well, is normally served at all restaurants. Now, have I ever tried a kid's meal before I went to a restaurant when I was a kid? Yes, I have. A few times when I was a kid. Not all the time, per se, because I would, in fact, eat the regular meals anyways. Regular restaurants. Depends on what I like. I occasionally order it, but it wasn't like every time I went to a restaurant I had to have it like that. This is the best of my memory I can remember because I can barely remember some stuff I even ate when I was a kid. So, that's basically the cost when you get older, per se. Mm-hmm. So, the thing starts off with Alphonse and I think it's Alfred and it's Alfred and Margaret, or in the case of the way they pronounce in the anime, Marguerite. So they're mentioned by their mother that they're don't go to this tower. There's a scary witch that lives there who just happens to be their beautiful aunt, which they don't know the fact that's actually her aunt where the aunt stays. So they go exploring and they just go inside. They go into the tower, And then they go to the first room on the tower. Apparently, this might be the only room in this tower. I would be interesting, though, if they actually had more rooms in this one tower of this castle. So they open a door and it looks like, oh, it's a normal bedroom. It looks different from the last time I was seeing the series because there was actually some sorcery stuff in there last time. Maybe because they changed location, possibly. Not really sure. So then they came across, they look around the room, and they're like, oh, this book is boring. Yeah, I don't know what the book was. Maybe it was a journal. So then they come across a box. A box that was actually last seen in Victoria's debut episode. Yes, her debut episode. Which was the one with Pudding Lamen. Let's see. That was in episode 5. Yes, episode 5. Which that kind of means our first appearance was in chapter 80. Actually, no, it was chapter 17 of book number 1. No, it's not 18. It's more like 17. Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically, her first appearance was actually in chapter 17 of book number 5. And it takes 3 books later to introduce the kids there. So apparently this thing's been sitting in the box for about a few books. I'm surprised it's still cold. Yes, so they open it up like, oh, what's this? So they pull it off, and they try drinking it. Of course, that doesn't work. And of course, they pick up the spoon. Probably, I'm surprised the spoon's not cold. I'm like, oh, it's a pudding. And then of course, their aunt comes like, what are you doing? Now, normally, any person basically who's not welcome in someone's bedroom would be very unhappy. But she has not really a big issue with this because she loves her niece and nephew. So because, oh yeah, she's a witch, but she's also a sorceress. Like, are you going to eat this? And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that because you're family. So, like, she has magic? Okay. Come up my room noon tomorrow. I'll show you some magic. Like, okay. So they come by, and it just happens to be Southern's Day because they go into the restaurant, and Anita sees them. And of course, before she does give an explanation. Now they do kind of explain this way back in episode 5, where they explain she's a half elf. Now her niece and nephew. This actually is the first time since episode 5 they've been seen in the series. So they explain that of course she's a half elf. There's a trouble with the like half blood, half elf prince. That apparently it's a multi-generational thing. They kind of explain this, and this is what she explained here is kind of an abridged retelling of what they told back in her debut episode, which is fine. We don't necessarily, of course, you mentioned my younger brother. Your father runs the country. It's interesting, though, the fact that she refers to her brother, which I kind of suspect that he might have been the younger brother. Oh, yeah, and they call her Auntie. Not Aunt Victoria, Auntie. Not really big issue. I don't have really big issue with that because I have aunts myself, so I don't call them Auntie. No, I just call them Aunt, whatever the name is. So they go in the restaurant, and of course, the niece and nephew introduce themselves to Anita, and she of course orders her food, and asks Anita like, "Do you happen to have any meals for children of the age of 12?" And it's like, "Oh, children's meals. I'll check if we have that. Can we serve that?" And she asks the master like, "Oh yeah, we can serve, no problem." So they give out the meal, which basically is hamburger steak, fried shrimp, and they ask like, "What's the flag for?" Decoration. And of course the pudding is saved for last. Of course, she brings her pudding a little bit later. She eats that, and they eat the pudding like so good. And they ask when they're all done, "Can we get back here again?" And she's like, "Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing." This one was looking forward to because I thought this actually was really good on the part of Victoria because she's a pretty interesting character. I kind of thought that she should definitely get more focus, and this is a good character piece for her. I love this one. Probably by far, of all the stories they have so far, that one of my personal favorites so far. The last one is basically cream coquet. Now, you might ask, okay, have I tried cream coquet before? Mostly put, the way it looks like it looks like crab ragout, the way it looks like. It looks like fried crabs. Of course, they're. But I should also point out they forgot for the children they also have potato salad, which is made with cobbler tubers. That's what they refer to as potatoes as. Yes, they have a different name for like every piece of food they have there. They refer to the crabs as cowsers. Yes. So then we have halflings. Yes, halflings. I am not familiar with halflings. I'm familiar with elves, dwarves, dragons, lizardmen, but halflings? It could be these are similar to probably the hobbits. Yeah, it could be similar to hobbits. It's possible to say the least. But they've heard of us halflings. But unlike the hobbits from Lord of the Rings who have elf ears, these people don't. They look like normal children. And their names are Pika and Paika, a boy and girl who first served this delicious stew with this bread that they work with a bakery, which, good idea, work in conjunction with a bakery so they can basically buy the food so they can buy both. So he got a good profit out of it, from what I could tell. So they go to the restaurant and they go to use the door that probably no one has used. And like, oh, the grass is going a little high here. So that means no one's probably been here for a while. So they go in and they order the special, which of course the crab. And surprisingly, no other patrons show up, which I thought that was interesting. Yeah, that's kind of weird though about this one. Like in both stories, no other patron shows up. I would have thought though somebody would, but nope, nobody does. I thought that was kind of weird. Well, not this one, anyways. They do have the elf who first showed up prior to Victoria. She does herself come back for a brief appearance. I believe was in last episode. But this one, not really per se. Just like one patron shows up and like nobody else does. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Yes. But time will tell. Now I'm gonna watch the next episode as soon as I put this video up, which will be the last episode we'll cover until Saturday. Yes, approximately 3 days from now, I'll cover episode 18. Now, next episode is the most recent episode aired. Excuse me. Now, 16, excuse me, that aired 2 weeks ago. And this season only been going on for, I think, about a month now. Yes, I believe it's like been like a month. Yeah, it only started just last month, this season did. Yeah, it only started just like a month ago. And we're already about 5 episodes in. Not bad. I'm definitely looking forward to many episodes of the season. Yep. So yeah, that's it particular review. Stay tuned for my next review, which will be more of this series. Basically talking about the newest episodes aired. Well, not that they aired per se, particularly the one that aired just as past Saturday. Yep. But see you in the next video. Bye.